13?
Yeah!
Great! Please welcome to the stage, Mr. and Mrs. Major! Hello, everybody. We are Mr. and Mrs. Major. I'm Steve Major. This is my wife, Julia. We are delighted to do a show for you today. Thank you all so much for coming to our book club. I understand that none of you have read the book. That's okay. We will act it out for you. So if one of you will please tell us the title of the book that we all read that doesn't actually exist. Whoever thinks of one first.
Laments from my father.
Laments from my father. Thank you so much. We now perform for you, for the first and last time, Laments from my father. Well, sweetheart, we can get married as long as your father agrees to it.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna agree to it though. That's the issue.
Well, I've done all right for myself. I have a job. I have a degree.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just I don't feel like he likes you, you know? And it's really tough because I like you, but I have one rule on getting married, and you know what that rule is. That rule is that my dad approves.
Right.
And
Well, sweetheart, we can
sucks to be us.
we can go visit him in prison. And we can get him to agree. And then you can inherit his vast and ill-gotten fortune.
I just wonder, you know, if I'd been a better daughter, maybe he wouldn't end up in jail, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted, at one point, I mean, he only mentioned this once, but one time he said, what if I'd run a restaurant? And I said, you're not a very good cook. And I just wonder if I hadn't said that, you know, maybe he would have dropped the mob business and he would have opened up a legitimate Italian restaurant.
That's too much for you to take on yourself, sweetheart.
That's what I feel, sweetheart. And feelings can't be wrong.
Of course they can be wrong.
You think my feelings are wrong?
I don't think you're wrong for feeling them. But I think that a 4-year-old's honest
How'd you
review...
know? How'd you know I was 4 when I said it? You're right, I was 4 when I said it, but how'd you know? You always know everything.
You tell the same stories many times.
I'm sorry. I forgot I stole that story. And then there was that time with the duck.
My dearest, just because your father pointed at a duck in the park and said, "Hey, a duck," that doesn't mean he was on the verge of giving up a life of crime.
I just think he was, sweetheart. You didn't see the look in his eyes when he pointed to the duck. It was like he was saying, there's another life. I could be in green places. I could be living free. You know? It's the way he said it. You weren't there. The way he said it. And I just think he doesn't like you. 'Cause, you know, you're judgmental. Right? I mean, when you first met him, you asked him why he was in prison. Was that really the right question for, like, the first time that you met my father? Couldn't you have just brought a nice pumpkin pie or, you know, asked him about the poster in his room? You didn't ask him any questions about the posters in his room, and he told me that. He said, you know, I decorated nice. I traded some packs of cigarettes. Why doesn't your boyfriend ask me about the posters in my room?
Just in my self-defense, you know, I knew why he was in there. He's killed many people.
Then why did you ask about it if you already knew?
I don't know. It seemed like the better option than saying, "Boy, you've killed a lot of people, huh, sir?"
I feel like that would have just been a, you know, I know who you are and I love you anyway. Had you started with the place of love, maybe he would have started with the place of love, okay? You came with judgment, he came with judgment.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from.
I just think, why don't you and my dad meet? Me not be there. Just, just try again.
Okay.
Right? I mean, because it's really, I love you, and this is important to me.
Sweetheart, I will go meet with your dad if you go meet with him first and just sort of prep him a little bit.
No. See. If he thinks it's me that initiated this, he's not going to go for it. It has to come from you.
He's going to want to talk to you. He's going to want to talk to you.
It's got to come. I hear you, and he will want to talk to me after, right? Afterwards, I can grease the wheels and be like, oh, isn't my boyfriend so great? He had the idea to see you. He brought a pumpkin pie. I told him, no, my dad's a busy man. He insisted, I love your dad, I gotta see him. That kind of thing. But I just feel like if I go in first,
okay,
comparatively, no, just hear me out. Comparatively, you're gonna suffer because I'm his favorite daughter, right? I'm his favorite daughter, and comparatively, right? You don't start with the main act, right? When you go to a band, you don't. If you're serving a meal, you want to end with dessert. If you have a circus, you do your last trick best, right? You don't start the circus, the fireworks. When you're doing the fireworks, you're not like, boom, and then you light littler boom, right? And I'm the big boom.
You're the big boom, okay. All right, well. I will go talk to your dad.
When you see my dad,
yeah,
just remember, he likes metaphors. So just go with it. Go with the metaphor, because he's the big duck.
All right. Hello, sir. I brought you a pumpkin pie. It was very thoroughly searched, but should taste more or less the same. Boy, you sure killed a lot of people, huh? That's what the big duck would do. Just gonna put this on the toilet sink. Okay. It's okay. Wow. Have a lot of charcoal drawings. Guess they let you have a piece of charcoal. You can't kill anyone with that. Or you probably could. It'd just be a lot of work. More work than it would be worth. Like you could just kill someone without it, right?
The charcoal drawings are my roommates.
Oh, they're terrible.
The posters are mine. They're my posters.
Yeah, those are nice. Those are nice. Miss USA 1987. She was a looker.
My daughter is like a duck. You know what I mean?
You know I don't. In what way is she like a duck?
Let me ask you. In what way is my daughter like a duck?
Okay. Well, I guess I would say that she's versatile. You know, she can fly and swim.
I'm sorry.
Yes?
You just said she can fly and swim.
Figuratively speaking, sir. I'm saying that she's good in multiple environments. Although she can swim. Were you confused about whether she can fly? She can't literally fly, sir.
I thought since I've been in here, maybe she got a pilot's license.
No. No, she's actually, not allowed to leave the state as a material witness in yet more upcoming trials for you. They found a new body a couple months ago.
Yeah. Well, I was concerned about that because she flies a coop and I get in trouble here, so I just proceed. I just clarifying. I'm sorry. I got really nervous when you talked about her flying.
Okay.
How far can she swim? like across state lines? Like a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles?
I'm gonna say like 30 or 40 laps at the JCC.
Okay.
You want me to keep the duck thing going?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I mean, you've hit on some of what I was looking for. You're on the right track, but I want to hear that you really understand my daughter and her duckness.
Okay. So she blames herself for your whole deal.
Yeah, well, that's her fault. I mean, I see why she does that. Obviously.
Yeah. So there was a time when she was about 4, when you had a fork in the road in your life, and you thought, I'm going to keep on killing people for money, or I'll start a restaurant. And it was her review of your food that said, I'm going to keep killing people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I remember that, and she said, you're not a good cook. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I guess I'm just going to keep killing people.
Okay. Well, just to extrapolate a little, how would you have felt if you had opened a restaurant and everyone said, wow, this is terrible? Because I'm going to be honest, if you can't impress a 4-year-old with pasta, what are you doing?
I never looked at it that way. You know? I always blamed her.
Yeah.
You know?
And can we just take a second? You blamed a 4-year-old for a lot of murders. Just an unending list of newly uncovered, deeply mutilated bodies.
I mean,
Because she didn't like your buttered noodles, sir.
in my defense, she was very harsh on the noodles. You weren't there.
That's true.
She threw them across the room. She didn't just politely say, you could have put some more salt and pepper on this. She was she threw them. And then, did she tell you about the duck?
Yeah, she said there was an incident when she was a couple years older, 7 or so, and you identified a duck by pointing at it and saying, look, a duck. And then she didn't react enough. And again, that's...
No, that's not what happened.
Oh, please.
She said, that's not a duck, Daddy. That's a geese.
Okay.
And first off, I thought it was one duck, but it was 2 gooses. And that was humiliating. And then, do you understand what it's like for your own child that you've been teaching to read with the Audubon Society book to then point out to you that you don't know the difference between a duck and not one goose, but a geese? And that's when I asked myself, maybe the only thing I'm good at is killing. Maybe the only thing I'm good at is getting the blood to drain out of a man's soul. That was the moment. Before that, I had some hope. I looked at that, what I thought to be a duck, and I said, he can fly, which duck can't, by the way. She pointed that out.
Ducks can fly. Ducks are good flyers. They migrate.
Are you saying you think there's a chance for me?
No. I was factually correcting your deeply ignorant statement.
No, but we were talking in metaphor, and you think that I can turn it around? Bless you, my son. Welcome to the family.
Okay. Great.
When do we get into dessert? My daughter coming?
Yeah. Yeah, she's coming.
All right, it's outdoor time, so I'm gonna go. You can hang here if you like.
Okay. So I met that boyfriend of yours. He had some interesting theories about ducks. He says that ducks can fly. I said, well, you've never seen a duck hanging from a Chinese store window then. Because those ducks are dead and plucked. I didn't say that, I thought of it later. But I would have said it if I thought of it at the time.
Dad, you know ducks can fly, right?
Well, you've never seen a duck hanging from a Chinese store window. Because those ducks are dead.
I've been to Mr. Yang's, Dad, but I'm just saying, you understand. Ducks can fly.
Alright, well, I'm learning all kinds of things about ducks, I guess. I learned that ducks are not gooses. I learned that they can fly. And I learned that while I call myself the Big Duck, I apparently did the bare minimum of research on what that means.
Dad, I want to take over your business.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, it's lain fallow for 8 years.
Dad. Your buttered noodles were good. They were real good. But I knew.
I loved my own buttered noodles.
But I knew if I told you the buttered noodles were good, you were going to give up on the business, Dad. And I love you for who you are. I didn't want you to give up on the business, Dad.
Why didn't you just say so? I would have brought you along, taught you how to crack a hole in a man's skull while he's still alive.
I wanted you to ask, Dad. I didn't want to have to ask you.
Oh, baby. When I pointed at that duck and I said, look, a duck, that was my way of asking you.
I should have known, Dad. That's what I thought. But I got nervous. And I thought, maybe he's just pointing down a duck in Central Park.
Gooses, as it turns out.
It wasn't gooses, Dad. It was just a duck.
Oh. Baby. There's so many fundamental parts about our history together that I need to reevaluate.
Dad.
Those two stories were the defining parts of our relationship.
Dad.
What?
I learned from you. I learned from the best to never tell the truth to anyone.
All right, well, I guess I'll pass on the business to you. Basically, the way it works is you find people who have money, and you tell them if they don't give you all their money, you kill them. And then either they do or they don't, and you kill them either way.
Okay. Dad, I got you something, though. I got you. I got you a cookbook. Because
There's a bomb in here.
you're getting out, Dad. You're getting out.
So, your dad's in the papers. He blew himself apart in jail. They found his guts all over his roommate's charcoal drawings.
You don't think that's my fault, though, right?
He snuck in a bomb and told him he was going to use it to free himself.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, but I mean, honestly, this one's not my fault. I mean, the other stuff's obviously my fault, but this one, I don't really know where you're getting that this one's my fault.
All right, well, the good news, obviously, is you can now inherit his ill-gotten fortune, with or without his permission. I feel like I need to tell you something, though, before you decide once and for all whether you're going to accept my proposal. it wasn't an accident that we met at the library that day. I've just been a huge fan of your dad my whole life. I myself have killed hundreds of people. I have a whole operation going, and I just know that, you probably wanted someone who would open a restaurant, and that's just not me, sweetheart. I'm a stone cold serial killer who manages to make a living at it.
You've been lying to me this whole time?
Well, I learned at a young age, you never tell anyone the truth for anything. Mr. and Mrs. Major, everybody! Keep it over. And for all your teams tonight, the winners, huh?
You've been a great audience. Thank you so much for coming out. We hope you had a good time. If you did, please come back. We have shows every Friday and Saturday. If you want to try what you saw on stage, we have